Alright, the contents of the 10th edition launch box, Leviathan, have been revealed, so we're not going to faff around, we're just going to get on with it, we want to see what's in there. Alright, the contents of the 10th edition launch box, Leviathan, have been revealed, so we're not going to faff around, we're just going to get on with it, we want to see what's in there. Including a Screamer Killer. Right there. Can you see that? Good lord, that is tasty. Also, Sternguard Veterans. Now, I don't know whether they intentionally made especially the Space Marine side of this box, to just be things that I want, but that's what they've done. We've got the classic Boxnaut loadout, but in Redemptor form. Give me it right now. We've got new Terminators. Give me those. New Terminator Captain. Yes. New Terminator Librarian. 100%. New Sternguard. Sternguard are my favourites after Terminators and Dreadnoughts. They've absolutely nailed it. It's like I'm being punched in the side of the head with a fist covered in nostalgia. Absolutely wetter than an otter's pocket. Plus, some of the new Tyranids stuff looks absolutely gnarly as well. So what do we have in the box? Well, there's 25 Space Marines, there's 47 Tyranids, there's the Leviathan rulebook, obviously an exclusive thingy, chapter approved Leviathan mission deck, and a transfer sheet, whatever, who cares. For the Space Marine half, we've got a new captain in Terminator armour. He is suitably scaled up, he has been increased in size and girth to be what Terminators always should have been. Proper chunky boys. And I like it. How could I not? I like the other updated Terminators, so it'd be silly if I didn't like this. I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of the head, but then again, I like all my lads to wear helmets, so no one's surprised by that, are they? Let's be honest. The sword looks good. The two, is it tilt shields, I think they're called, that are on the pauldrons, look really nice. I like the added kind of reinforcement over the top of said pauldrons. Absolutely fantastic. There's a good amount of cloak and a good amount of miscellaneous paper, so yeah, I like this lad a lot. Could have maybe done without him having a tactical rock base, but I suppose the tactical rock base is also part Tyranid phase base. So we can't be too down on it, I guess. I feel like I always like the ones that are a bit more generalised, you know? Anyway, he's still a solid lad, I'm still loving it. It's a new Terminator, so of course I'm all in favour. We've got the Librarian and Terminator armour, which we've already covered before. Still like this a lot. This, however, this I absolutely love. This is the Apothacary Biologis, and this is an Apothecary in Gravis armour, and it looks absolutely solid. Gravis armour is class. It's as close to Terminator armour as we were going to get out of the Primaris range until they brought actual Terminators up to date in line with the rest of Primaris range. I love Gravis armour. This looks fantastic. He's got all the gizmos. He's got all the gadgets. He has a cool gun. I really like that kind of mid-walk pose. He's also right in the middle of his DoorDash delivery, so that's nice to see. I'm loving the cloth down the front with the pockets sewn in, where you've got a pair of like surgical scissors, a pair of pliers by the look of things. Oh, that's it. That is a good model. That is a good Space Marine model right there. I also love the little array of magnifying lenses off to the side there. The ones that look like they kind of flip down in front of his helmet, or like if he takes the helmet off, presumably, they flip down in front of the eye so he can see what he's looking at. And you've got a big one, a smaller one, and then a really small one just to fully magnify the image. That is so extra and over the top and unnecessarily old tech. I love it. This one's a rare one. This is a 10 out of 10. This is absolutely a 10 out of 10. Absolutely quality model, that. Now, we've seen the Lieutenant in Phobos armour. Something that is a bit interesting to me and that is, in a way, a little bit weird is the fact that the Lieutenant in Phobos armour is the only one in the entire box in this armour, which is a little odd. But then again, we've got like quite the array of different armour marks. We've got just the Mark X, because there's some just normal Primaris armour in there. We've got some Gravis in the form of the Apothecary. We've got some Terminator armour in the form of the Terminators. We've got Phobos armour for this guy. We've got a Dreadnought in there as well. There's quite the range. Anyway, he still looks class. I still really like him. Now, this was quite the pleasant surprise. I didn't know new Sternguard were on the way. I didn't know that was a thing they were going to revisit. I'm very glad that they have. And I'm a massive fan of the Sternguard kit. The Sternguard kit is like, it's one of the best Space Marine kits they've ever done. So customizable. So many different options. They've got such a distinct look to them. They fit in perfectly with Space Marines as a whole, but they're just so much more ornate, and there's so much like personalization that goes into each Marine. It's one of the best kits that Games Workshop's ever done. I absolutely love it. So seeing like an updated Sternguard box, which is Primaris based, I'm kind of in two minds, right? Because I really like these. I think they look really good. But then again, I would do, because these are extremely reminiscent of the Bladeguard Veterans. and those look fantastic. The robes over power armor look, or integrated into power armor look, is never going to be bad. It's a classic, and I like seeing it, and the Blade Guard brought that to the Primaris range, and so these are very similar to the Blade Guard in terms of like the bare bones layout of what they have. Obviously, weapons options are totally different, but for me, even though they look really good, and I like the weapons they're carrying, I do like the added bits of customization. I like the fact that we've got a Mark 7 helmet up there, so there's obviously bits of older armor that these guys are incorporating into their gear. I like all of that, but they're not quite as ornate, they're not quite as decorated as the Firstborn Sternguard kit. They're not quite as detailed, they're not quite as personalised, as customisable to my eye. And I kind of find myself in this kind of middle ground of really liking them for what they are, but they're not, for me, a complete replacement for that existing Sternguard kit. I don't know if both are going to continue to be available. I'll be honest, I'll be surprised if they still have Firstborn Sternguard and Primaris Sternguard available at the same time. I'd be shocked by that, but I would also be very happy if they did, because really the ideal thing, the best of both worlds, would be able to take stuff from one and use it on the other to just kind of expand on your options. These guys have got all like the Blade Guard trappings that I really like, but I'm not feeling them quite as much as I do the current Sternguard kit. And in fact, now I'm thinking about it, there is one thing that the Blade Guard have over these guys that would actually make these guys look a bit more Sternguard to me. The Blade Guard, if I remember correctly, they've got like these kind of extra bits on the knee armour. They just have little extra details that just bring them out that tiny bit more. These, I think, could benefit from that. But it's still a good looking squad. It's not like they look rubbish. I still like them. Of course, we've also got the new Terminators. The new Terminators look solid. We've waxed lyrical about how good the Terminators are. How am I not going to like them? Look at them. They are my favourite thing, and they're bigger, and they're better, and they're beefier, and they've got more girth. What more do you want? What more do you want? This is also a unit where they're just like, yeah, they're sure they're Firstborn and Primaris, whatever. They're whatever you like. Put whoever you like in there. We don't care. Like, clearly, the line isn't just blurred anymore. They just don't care about the line. The line is an irrelevance. It's just, they're just Space Marines. A lot of people, I think probably, would wonder why they bothered to try and make them separate things to begin with. I can see why they did, but it's going to make things a lot easier if it's just, here are Space Marines. And you know, the more I look at them, the more I want them even more than I did before, and I already wanted them pretty badly, so absolutely give them to me this instant. Now, we also have the Infernus Squad, which is just a bunch of lads armed with flamers. Or is it, what is it? It's the Pyre Blaster. Is it the Pyre Blaster? I think that might be the name of the gun. Something that the Black Templars have had access to in their Crusader squad for a bit, and they've all got one. They're all about the fire. To be fair, this is a great thing to put in a box versus Tyranids, because, I mean, you've got to burn out the bugs, haven't you? I still find the design of the Pyre Blaster a little bit... just not to my personal taste. For me personally, the two guys that are doing it right are the ones that are actually holding the gun under the barrel instead of by the handle at the top. The handle at the top pose just looks a bit awkward to me. It just doesn't look great. I have to admit, I also find myself questioning whoever put this picture together, because they've managed to stick two guys who've got the same poses right next to each other. Don't do that. Don't stick the same leg pose next to each other. It makes it really obvious that you got repeated poses. Like those two at the top, they are absolutely sticking out like a sore thumb, because you can see the eye is just drawn to the symmetry of the legs there. I mean, overall, it's a decent looking squad. It's just another version of Intercessors, ain't it, basically? And they look good to begin with, and yeah, they've just got different guns. But she's got a new hat! Anyway, the most important thing out of all of this, obviously, is the Ballistus Dreadnought? Whatever it's called. I don't care. I do not care. I love it. How could I not? I basically built one of these myself. when I did the Dreadnought army, I basically built exactly this. It had a missile launcher on one side. It had... Oh, it might have been the Gatling cannon it had on the other side, actually. But either way, I've already built this thing once, and now it's an official thing with actual rules. So I'm all in favour. It is like the classic Boxnaut loadout. It's the one that I remember from being a kid when I first started playing the game. I remember getting a Boxnaut that had a missile launcher and it had twin link las cannon, and it was a wonderful, glorious time in my life, and now we get it back. And just looking at this, the nostalgia is washing over me, and even though it is a different Dreadnought to what I picked up, I love the Redemptor. I've bought quite a few Redemptors in my day, and they've made one that is what I want out of a Redemptor. It's the thing I had, but new. Which pretty much sums up the contents of half of this box. It's the thing that I had and liked, but new. No wonder I'm getting excited about this. They're just playing across the old heartstrings, aren't they? Plucking them. I mean, there was no way that I was going to look at this and not become moister than oyster. The big question is, for the tactical rock on this base, is this a cheeky nod to the Boxnaut moulded base that has, like, 2 cracked bits of, like, rock or rockcrete or concrete or whatever on the bottom? Or did they just not know what else to do with it? It could be either. We don't know. Either way, I'm inclined to let it slide in this specific instance. I'll let them have this one because they've brought my boy back. They've updated my lad and they've made him fresh and new, and I'm all in. It's a beautiful sight to behold, and I will take 3, thank you. Now, we move on to the Tyranid side, and this is a bit of a mixed bag for me, okay? There's some stuff in here I like, there's some stuff in here that I'm not 100% on. So, we've got the Winged Tyranid Prime. We had a conversation about this literally last week, so we don't need to go over it again. Overall decent model, definitely benefits from a 360-degree view because the wings are posed in a way that is less obtrusive on the tabletop, but not as glorious as a full spread wing pose. Makes the silhouette weird. I've basically summed up like a 10-minute video in 30 seconds, which just goes to show that it didn't need to be that long to begin with. Anyway, on to the Neurotyrant, which is absolutely horrific. It is gross, it's disgusting, it is absolutely... That, to me, that has got like some really nice, like proper... eldritch horror, like Lovecraftian vibes for me. It is a mess of floating tentacles with horrible spikes on them, except for the ones that don't have spikes and are just gross flesh. We've got claws, we've got multiple sets of teeth, which, I mean, one set of teeth seems to be not attached to the rest of a mouth. Just any mouth. It's just got a set of teeth hanging out at the top for no reason whatsoever. Too many eyes. If they are indeed eyes, they might just be holes into the head. It's kind of difficult to tell. Either way, it's gross. Having that massive, like, glistening, exposed brain up top is... oh my god. It's so bad. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's nightmarish. It's properly nightmarish to look at. It's like a manifestation of madness. Even the carapace, even like that chitin carapace that is kind of covering it, it's too big. It's like it has a shell that just extends way beyond what it needs to. You have to look at it for a little bit to get a clear idea as to what's going on, and that's absolutely perfect. Like, it is a proper kind of unknowable alien horror. Literally looks like something that I am collecting bits to make for my Cosmic Horror Mega Gargant army. They've taken an idea that I've had in my head, which means they haven't taken it, it's just coincidence, but it does make me laugh that I've been trying to work out how to make something that would look convincing, like it had a kind of a swollen upper body, like exposed body parts on top, or like internal organs on top, sorry, with like just dangling, draping tentacles and stuff out the bottom, and how to fit that in with the rest of that dumb army. And they've just made it. They've just made it with this. That is proper nightmare fuel. They've done a fantastic job of it. It's so good. It is so good. I thought the Space Marine stuff, I thought like the Ballistus Dreadnought was going to be my favourite thing in the box, because it just ticks all the boxes for that big flood of nostalgia and, you know, my love of Redemptors. But you know what? I think this may well be it. This may well be the thing. Like, of all the stuff in this box that I want, I need it in my life. It's absolutely horrific. It's so good. And the thing is, you think you've recovered from looking at that, and then you see the new Screamer Killer, and it just becomes like, oh my god. This side of the box is solid so far. It is absolutely immense. This is a great model. I didn't see that many Screamer Killers when I first started playing, but I know what they look like, and I know that this is like a solid reimagining of the Screamer Killer. The head is so, like, non-typical for what Carnifexes have now. That kind of exposed section in the centre, but you've got carapace growing on each side, and just down the very middle, like, kind of linking into the forehead. The 4 claw arms are so well done. Like, the old Screamer Killer looked a little bit goofy. It just did. But that was also extremely old. Extremely old. They've managed to take something that, when it comes to just kind of the anatomy as a whole, it's kind of hard to make that threatening. Just reaching out in a sort of X shape. That's not an easy thing to make look dynamic or like really, really scary. Like something that's going to absolutely mess you up. I feel like it's kind of hard to get the right pose, the right proportions, but they have. They absolutely have. This thing looks absolutely monstrous. It looks like it would tear its way through anything and everything without at any point having to pause due to injury or even death. It gives the impression of being half like dedicated slicing stabbing instrument and half battering ram. They have nailed it again with this. We also have Von Ryan's Leapers. We've taken a look at those before. They still look decent, although I'm gonna have to say it, compared to the Neurotyrant and the Screamer Killer, they've like paled in comparison. They're still good, don't get me wrong, but those two especially, that is a hard act to follow. That is a hard act to follow. We've got new Termagants. Oh yeah. Oh, they're so nicely refreshed. They just look so much more clean and up to date, and I mean, it makes sense that they would, because the old sculpt is really, really old. Also, doesn't look like they're going to fall over constantly, that's nice. Although, admittedly, that's more of a Hormagant thing, but still, yeah, seeing the full squad together, that's nice. That's nice, I like it. It makes me happy, seeing them all running around in a big group. I also never really realised that Rippers have got, like, claws on the underside of the bodies. For some reason I thought they were just, like, snakes, that they just sort of slithered along, but no. Don't know how I never noticed that before. Seems like a weird thing to only just notice now, but there you go. Okay, we've got another new addition here, which is Neurogants. These are weird. These are super weird. So, they can't see. They rely on nearby synapse creatures to see for them. They look like they've been plopped out half done. And I don't mean the sculpts, I don't mean like someone gave up halfway through sculpting them. I mean like in the process of being like gestated and then born, or however Tyranids work. It looks like they got halfway through and then it was like, just shove them out now. Just drop them out, they'll be good, let's go. They're weird. I don't really know what to make of them, to be honest. Like, they follow the Gaunt template, which is fine, but they're really, really odd. And I don't know if I find them, like, scary odd or just kind of odd. Like, I don't know that they're kind of inspiring any sort of, oh, those are horrific, or those are going to mess you up, or maybe part of it is down to the colours used. Maybe it's because those kind of armour plates are a bit more, they're just a bit pink, and they're not matching the carapace. But then if they're not the same material as the carapace, or at least it's a less developed version, it makes sense that they would be a different colour. I'm just not sure about them. I'm just not sure. Interesting squad size as well. So you got 10 normal ones and you got a leader one. So 11 total. From what I can tell, these kind of intervene in terms of trying to stop other stuff getting hurt. I don't know. It's an interesting addition. I'm not really sure how I feel about them yet. Definitely need time to like get used to them and then work out where I stand, because I just don't know what to make of them right now. Now we also have Barbgaunts as well, so these look to be bigger than the Termagant, Hormagant, Neurogant stuff. So these are super weird. I really like them. They've got 3 legs for a start, which is weird, until you then look and realise that one of the other front legs has kind of grown into a support for this like biological gun that is growing out of one shoulder. It's like they have a shoulder-mounted weapon, but one of their arms is permanently, like one of their legs is permanently fused up into it to enable it to actually carry the weight and to enable it to properly aim and fire. That's a really cool idea. I like that a lot. When you look at the guns on other Tyranids, like, they have their arms have just kind of merged into them and become fused with them in order to support the weight and to allow them to actually fire with them. They've followed that through with this, but in such a kind of not detrimental way, I guess. But if you had the ideal template, you wouldn't sacrifice a front leg for that, right? You wouldn't make it so that it's harder for these things to get around. But that's just how this has happened. I really like that. To me, this kind of speaks of like a very rapid mutation, like a very rapid evolution, where something was needed, something had to change, a new approach to something was required, and so the Gaunt template was taken, it was modified. The quickest, easiest way to get what you need into the fight is to have this kind of compromise where you're losing a bit of mobility in order to support this new weapon that's been grown. I really like that. You can see a little bit of like the brain matter as well in the carapace up the top. The head, it's almost like they've got a secondary brain behind the head in the carapace that then is fed into the head itself. Like you can see that there's kind of this series of tubes going into the back of the head there. I like these a lot. They're very cool. They're very interesting. That is a good looking unit for my money. That is a good looking unit. Again, there's something like unsettling and weird about them, and I really like that. Finally, we've got the Psychophage, which is excellent. I love it. It's a big lad that likes feasting on psychers. I'm all in. The smoke coming out of those stacks on the carapace look great. Horrible, disgusting mouth. Fantastic. So many teeth and tentacles with also teeth. Absolutely awful. I will say the one thing I have a little bit of a problem with, just a tiny bit of a problem with, is that it's very similar kind of silhouette-wise to the Venom Crawler, the Chaos Venom Crawler, because that's got like this big bulbous rear end, it's got a few legs at the front, it's hunched down, it's got the series of spikes across the back of it as well. This has got a very similar silhouette to that, but apart from that, that's like the only complaint. It's a really cool model. It also, like, you can see the eyes at the front there, and the top row of teeth. Looks like he's having a whale of a time. Absolutely loving life. Couldn't be happier to be eating psychers all day long. We like to see job satisfaction. That's what we like. You also get the Leviathan book, the core rules, the transfer sheet, and the index cards as well. And they have laid out a roadmap. So we've got Leviathan coming in the summer, then we've got Codex Tyranids and Space Marines, then Adeptus Mechanicus and Necrons, and then, I mean, spring looks to be super busy. Dark Angels, Orcs, Adeptus Custodes, Tau Empire, Chaos Space Marines. No Imperial Guard in there, which is a little bit sad, because Imperial Guard have not had their Codex for that long. They've not had it for long, and then it's going to be useless, and they're going to have to wait, what, a full year to get the next one? Kind of harsh, but, I mean, unfortunately, that is just the gamble. That's just what happens when you get a new edition in, isn't it? Everything goes chaotic, and it's just who's going to get what when? We don't know. Someone is going to be out in the cold, though. Anyway, I went into this expecting to just be 100% in for the Space Marines, which I am. I wasn't expecting to come into this and immediately fall in love with an absolutely disgusting, horrible, gribbly monster that looks like it's come out of someone's full-on nightmares. But here we are. I thought I was hyped for the Space Marine side of this box. It turns out what I really want is multiple Screamer Killers, multiple Neurotyrants. I want to make an army of absolute horrible monsters, and I need this in my life immediately. The question then is, what out of all of this was your favourite? What has really caught your eye? What are you absolutely frothing at the gash for? Let me know in the comments down below. We will be covering more of the reveals over the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching. As always, there's an affiliate link for Element Games in the description, which you can use if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.